There's a comforting belief embedded in modern mythology that power, when discovered, naturally seeks to protect rather than dominate. We are taught that greatness is tempered by empathy, that extraordinary ability comes paired with moral responsibility, and that those chosen for more will rise to meet that calling. But when that assumption is stripped away, what remains is not heroism, but horror. A world where power is unaccountable, identity forms without consequence, and love proves insufficient against something that was never meant to be human. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. Brightburn functions most powerfully not as a generic evil kid horror film, but as a calculated dismantling of the Superman archetype. It asks a deceptively simple question. What if the child who falls from the sky is not destined to save us, but to rule us? In doing so, the film exposes how deeply superhero mythology relies on the assumption that immense power will naturally align itself with moral good. Superman is fundamentally a fantasy about reassurance. He represents the belief that power, when paired with the right upbringing, will result in benevolence. Raised by loving parents in rural America, he becomes the ultimate protector, a god who chooses restraint. Brightburn uses the same narrative framework, only to show how fragile that belief truly is. Brandon Breyer's origin mirrors Clark Kent's almost beat for beat. The crash landing, the infertile couple, the wholesome farmland, the discovery of powers during adolescence. But instead of these elements nurturing heroism, they expose its impossibility. The key distinction between Superman and Brandon is not environment, but internal moral architecture. Superman's mythology assumes an inherent empathy, an instinctive connection to humanity that predates his powers. Brightburn removes this assumption entirely. Brandon's alien nature is not just physical, it's psychological. He does not experience the world through shared vulnerability, but through dominance. Where Superman learns restraint, Brandon learns entitlement. Psychologically, this flip transforms the coming-of-age superhero narrative into a horror story about unchecked identity formation. Adolescence in Superman stories is about learning responsibility. In Brightburn, adolescence becomes a period of awakening predatory instinct. Brandon's powers emerge alongside sexual curiosity, emotional confusion, and anger. Normal development forces that become lethal when paired with invulnerability. The film suggests that Superman's moral compass is not an inevitable outcome of power, but an extraordinary anomaly. Visually and symbolically, Brightburn reinforces this inversion at every turn. Superman's iconography is clean, hopeful, and openly heroic. Brandon's costume is secretive, ritualistic, and insect-like, evoking fear rather than inspiration. Superman reveals himself to the world as a symbol of trust. Brandon hides his face, turning anonymity into terror. Even flight, a symbol of freedom in Superman's lore, becomes predatory in Brightburn, resembling a hunting dive rather than a triumphant ascent. Perhaps the most disturbing reversal lies in the parental dynamic. Jonathan and Martha Kent represent moral absolutes, compassion, humility, and responsibility. Brandon's parents attempt the same guidance, but their love is rendered meaningless against his nature. The film suggests that Superman's goodness is not the product of good parenting alone, but of a rare compatibility between power and empathy. Without that compatibility, love becomes denial, and guidance becomes irrelevant. Where Superman consistently chooses humanity over dominance, Brandon explicitly rejects it. The whispering from his ship, telling him to take the world, act as a dark mirror to Superman's sense of destiny. Instead of help, the mission is conquest. This reframes the alien origin not as a blessing, but as a colonial invasion, aligning Brightburn with anxieties about power arriving without consent or accountability. In flipping Superman on his head, Brightburn also critiques the genre itself. Superhero stories often function as moral safety nets, reassuring audiences that even the most powerful beings will self-regulate. Brightburn removes that comfort. It insists that power does not civilize, it reveals. And when the being with the greatest power lacks empathy, the result is not corruption, but inevitability. The film's final implication, that Brandon is only the beginning, cements this reversal as a complete mythological inversion. In Superman's world, extraordinary beings are exceptions who protect the many. In Brightburn's world, they are predators who reshape reality around themselves. Hope is not restored, it is rendered obsolete. Ultimately, Brightburn does succeed as an evil Superman story, not because it shocks or is original in any way, but because it destabilizes a cultural myth we rarely question. Similar to Homelander in The Boys, it forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth, that Superman is not the natural outcome of godlike power. He is the miracle, and without that miracle, the story does not become tragic. It becomes utterly terrifying. Well, friends, that's gonna be all for now. If you are interested in this film, I urge you to check it out for yourself and formulate your own thoughts and opinions about it. I hope you come share those thoughts and opinions in the comments. Let me know if there are any movies that you would like to see discussed on this channel. I always love to hear from you guys, and I do my best to try and respond to everyone. As always, I've put a link down in the description to a physical copy of this film, if one exists, that you can add to your collection. Using that link helps out the channel, and that's always appreciated. If you like this video, I urge you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already. I know that some of you watching aren't subscribed, so help out the channel and subscribe. If you'd like to go the extra mile and support the channel even more, we do have a couple options for you to do so. You can join us on Patreon, where you can get yourself early access to future videos, Patreon exclusive content, and access to the ETF Digital Archive. We get a lot of compliments about the VHS collection that you guys see in the background of our videos. Well, we've been hard at work slowly digitizing the collection and creating a place where we can share it with all of you. Thanks to the help of the Plex platform, we can now do just that. This is our way of doing our part in helping preserve that gritty, nostalgic VHS look and feeling before it's gone forever. With Plex, you can stream our VHS collection from anywhere at any time. It's basically like having a streaming service for VHS, which I think is pretty cool. Additionally, if you're tired of adding to your growing list of monthly subscriptions, you can help support the channel on Ko-Fi, where you can drop a single tip, the cost of a cup of coffee, or less. No pressure, no tiers required. But with all of the same monthly benefits that you will find on Patreon offered as well. We also have a Mercari store where you can go and get yourself a little piece of the ETF archive. While collecting VHS, Blu-rays, and DVDs over many years, we wind up with lots of duplicates, and we unfortunately can't store them all. So on our Mercari shop, we have all of those for sale. Purchasing those not only expands your collection, but makes room for us to expand ours. All the links for everything are down in the description. Until next time, stay safe. And as always, thanks for watching.